Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in as always. Now, make sure that you guys are subscribed to my channel because my podcast has started up. The first video has officially gone up. So make sure you tune in to Soul Connections with Jeni Ji. I have bookings throughout the summer with interviews for my podcast with some really exciting guests. So don't miss out on it. I'm really excited about it. So anyways, let's have a little chat this week about what's coming up. What's coming up from the 27th of June until July the 3rd. Like we're already moving into July. Like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, where is the time going? So let's look in what's coming up. However, make sure that you guys book through my new website, soulworkwithjennig.com, if you'd like to book a clairvoyant psychic reading with me. My old website is gone, so you can easily find the new one. And also, if you have a story or something you want to share with me and talk about on my podcast, it's easier and best to send me a message through my website. Let me know. You never know. I might just say, you know what? Yeah, let's have a little chat about it. Let's talk about it. So I'm just saying, I talk to all walks of life every day. There's no judgment in my world. So what's this week? Like what's happening this week, you guys? We have the Capricorn full moon. That moon's actually going to be really small. So it's very unique. Some people call it like the micro moon. So you might see a little bit of a moon out there. If I get a chance, I'll take a photography. I'll do a little shot of it. I never know what comes up because I can work till really late at night. Sometimes I don't get into bed till like 1 in the morning. It just depends on what my days are like and how busy I get. So we also have Mercury retrograde season. That pre-Mercury season started on the 13th of June. That pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde can actually be worse than the actual retrograde. So this is a time when we have to have more patience. We have to slow down. There's going to be some delays or there's going to be miscommunication, technical issues. That's the worst of it. Like I'm online all day long. So nobody likes it whenever they're having issues technically. So this is a time where if there's any pre-signs, with any electronics that are not working during the pre-shadow, make sure you take care of it now because it can break down during the retrograde. So that's why it's like, don't make huge purchases during the retrograde season because it might not work with you. However, things can balance out by the time the next retrograde season comes in, but that can be, a long time to wait for that. So we also have Leo season. Happy birthday, my fellow lions. How many of you guys out there are Leos? So, you know, this is a time when you're going to be taking a lot more accountability for yourself, your actions, what you're working on, what you're saying, what you're doing, and you're going to be a lot more focused on family and home environment. So, it's like when there's family, you could be like, you know what, there's been some issues, we want to heal it, or wow, I really need to focus more on family situations and matters right now. And your home environment. So some of you could be moving, some of you could be like redecorating or making changes to your home, renovations, and you could be like, I just want my home to be more comfortable and cozy. Maybe I'm gonna, like switch it up a little bit. So you could be like, yeah, maybe we want to focus on maybe moving in the future. So it's important to make long-term goals. I've been talking about that for a while. I set goals all the time. I have more long-term goals right now than short-term goals. So because 2027 is what we're really building towards. 2025, we're starting to see, what do I want? What do I want to change? Where do I want to be? What career do I want to be doing? All of that. 2026 is when we're really implanting those seeds to make it happen. So you could change your mind, even say, wow, I thought I wanted to do this or to move here or to start this. So you could find that as we kind of get closer to the end of the year, you could be like, wow, I thought I wanted to move here, or I thought I wanted to start this career, but I'm not so drawn towards it. Like I always make a list of the pros and the cons, no matter what it is. There's no such thing as perfect, no matter what we're doing, anything. It's relevant. So that's how we know sometimes. Like I'm looking at making a really big change myself in 2027, but I'm still like, it can be a little risky. It can be, there's a few negatives against it actually. However, I mean, I'm a risk taker. I walk into the unknown at times. So you never know. Just still focus with your goals. Have that in your mind, write it down, and you're going to see how things are really going to come together for you. The retrograde will slow things down for you on purpose. So this is during the time because the retrogrades go backwards. So it gives you that opportunity to reset things, revamp things. People from your past come back. Like you probably already saw that happening. So when people from our past come back, it can give us that opportunity to catch up with them. There can be like past lovers coming back, wanting to reconnect with you. That is up to you. However, make sure that you review the relationship and be really honest with yourself. Is that what I really want? You can always book a reading with me, and I can give you all of my insights into who they are, what they're wanting, where things are leading to, and so on. So now the 27th and 28th of June, you are going to take more steps forward that are important. You're going to be finishing up on things and completing things. Those are the last 2 days before the actual Mercury retrograde steps in, that rude awakening, as I call it. So whatever you need to do and complete, do it on the 27th and the 28th of June, if possible, because what you've been dealing with this month in June, you're going to continue dealing with during this retrograde that's going to go on until July 23rd and 24th. So that's why it's like best to clean things up, resolve things, you know. In retrogrades, we can say things we regret and stuff. I've heard people say certain things, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. However, it happens, right? So you're going to feel like an ending, especially right now, that something has completed its time. Of course, we all have different cycles with different times in our life. However, you're just going to know it, and you're going to feel it that something's just ended. A job, career, relationship, anything. You're going to feel it even stronger. If you go back to my last week's video, it was a lot of it's based on relationships, karmic relationships, completions, endings. We still have that lingering, of course, for a little while. People from the past during Mercury retrograde and so on. So you could actually get even more drawn during this time to study something, learn more about something. This is not the time during the retrograde to start something huge and massive. No. Like I always multitask myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to work on this project and that project. And oh my God, we can get really overwhelmed at times. So my priority are my clients, of course, number one before anything. So I work around on my other projects and so on in between him. So you're going to be making more important decisions right now. It's like, you know what, we got to sign off on that now. Because during that retrograde, be very, very careful what you sign. Make sure you completely understand what it is you're signing. Like if you have been going through, you know what, we're going to sign a new lease, or we're going to get a new vehicle or we're buying a home. If you started that process before the Mercury retrograde and everything like that, that's okay. But if you're going to sign a brand new contract during the retrograde, pay attention even more so. And if you don't understand what you're signing, of course, seek legal advice or someone that knows, the little writing, as I call it, on those contracts. That's where they get you, that little writing. Oh, yeah, well, didn't you read this clause here and this here? But just be careful. Keep an open mind during this time. You know, you're going to have new ideas coming in. You're going to be more creative right now. So changes have been in the air for quite some time with so many different things. I actually learned some shocking news like just the past 4 days myself about something, and I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't see that coming. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, something that I used to belong to got shut down because of certain things. I mean, I knew certain things personally, but I didn't get involved. Of course, I distanced myself. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's all over the internet. And I'm like, I was really surprised by that. Wow, I still am actually. So I've been helping certain people work through that, and um, because it's not easy, of course. I'm not going to say who or what, of course. But you're going to see right now as well, be open for new adventures, and what really presents itself to you, like opportunities can come at any time, any time. Take a look at it, just be open, like I'll be like, if I'm feeling stuck with something or I want to make change of spirit, I'm open to new opportunities with whatever it is, let's say, that's best for my higher purpose, my highest growth. And I surrender completely and utterly to spirit. I do. I don't force anything. I surrender everything. I don't chase anything. I work on my goals. I work with my clients, my projects, and so on. And I just allow things to naturally flow and everything like that. So you're going to see certain things that are going to open up new doors for you. So this is the time as well where you're going to be working through more patterns, let's say toxic behaviors. Toxic behaviors can be like potty mouth, somebody with a potty mouth, or somebody, that high and mighty. They think they're high and mighty, their ego and all of these things. Maybe certain people be like, I better take a step back and really look at what I could have said or did to someone. So the retrograde is the time for forgiveness. Wow. People from the past come back and forgiveness. And I do recommend that you forgive certain people just so you can move on. When I hear something shocking, I'm not surprised. I'm like, wow, I'm not surprised. Sometimes I can be surprised by certain things somebody says, and I'm like, oh my God, wow. Thank you, Spirit, for showing me that side of them. So it can be a little kind of off-putting, of course. For me, I don't put up with ignorance and arrogance. I walk away from that quite quickly, and I'm like, I don't want any part of it. So you're going to find that as we move into the 29th and 30th, of course, Mercury retrograde officially starts. That's the time to book health appointments. If you're feeling like, maybe I should go to the dentist, or maybe I should get something checked up that I'm a little concerned about. And for your animals as well. I mean, even Valentino, he has to go back to get his teeth looked at. He might have some puppy teeth that they have to pull. Unfortunately, the poor little guy, it happens. It happens in animals, you know what I mean? So this will be a second checkup on that. I'm surrendering that to spirit. And if it comes down to where he has to, of course I will. Of course I will. For those of you who know me, I'm an animal person. I do everything it takes to make my animal happy and all of that. So slow down right now. And whenever you're sending messages, people says, I didn't get your message. I'll reply back to people, when they send me a message on, on my website, I didn't get your message, Denny. Check your junk folder, check your spam folder, no matter if it's Mercury retrograde or not. I always check my spam and junk folder for missing messages. start getting into the habit of doing that, but especially now during Mercury retrograde. If you're sending a message, make sure you double check it, make sure you're sending it to the right person and the message you want to say. And then once you send it, go into your sent folder because you could be like, what? I didn't give those dates. I didn't give those times. I didn't. Yeah, I know, believe me. It happened to me the other day, and I'm like, what? What? But but I know the energy with the retrograde, so that's why I talk about it. So this is the time to not make any quick, rash decisions either. Even those opportunities that are coming in, go with what resonates with you, what feels really good for you, review everything very carefully. So you very well could be like reflecting even more so over past emotions. Our emotions can be higher, and as that full moon is sneaking in, of course, full moons increases the intensity with our emotions, like, you know, but you'll find that you're going to be working better through your emotions. Take a look at things more honestly with an open mind. You know what I mean? Like, some people can be really reflecting and be like, wow, maybe I misunderstood that person. Misunderstandings are during Mercury retrograde, miscommunications, misunderstandings. You could say something to somebody and the other person might take it offense, or you're just saying this and that. That's the retrograde. This is not the time to start a brand new relationship. No, 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 no. And because of the retrograde of miscommunication, let's go on a date, let's go at this time. Somebody could show up at that time. You didn't say that time or date. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really the time. Talk to someone, get to know somebody 100%. Yes, all of those things. Continue on that path. Do not rush anything at all, right? Travel delays come in during Mercury retrograde, lost luggage. I always remember, just to give you an example, right? So I went to the Big Island in Hawaii during Mercury retrograde, and I wasn't even thinking. And then I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, normally things are smooth. Lost luggage. They put me in the wrong room. I asked for an ocean view room, and I'm like, that's not an ocean view room. My flight was delayed. I arrived late. I couldn't change rooms like at 2 o'clock in the morning. I did it the next day that went to management. This wasn't what I got. I lost my phone. Security found it eventually. Things were falling out of my wallet. Security was calling me. Whoa, we found your ID. What are you talking about? Like crazy things. They put me next door to a bunch of partiers that were keeping me up. Security threw them out. Like, and I'm like, what is going on? Stuff like this doesn't happen to me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Mercury retrograde. Oh my God. And during that time, it happened to be a really kind of intense retrograde. And I'm like, oh my God. So by the time the Big Island ended, I went then over to Maui and spent time with a friend. And I'm like, oh my God, I need a Mai Tai. I need a cocktail because, oh my God, this was happening. I lost my phone. Like, security did find it and everything like that. Thank God. But I'm like, I would have had no way to reach you. Like I had no phone numbers, nothing. So, so anyways, we went out and had a few Mai Tais and it was so much fun, but I'm not going to go on about it. I actually did a video of that. Oh, so much fun. I miss those days, but anyways, I'm just saying, expect the unexpected during Mercury retrograde. It's just surrender it, right? So now we also have Leo season. This is the time to open up your heart. Leos have really big hearts and stuff, courage. You're going to have more courage during this time. You're going to be more focused on your purpose. You could be seeing that more. Follow your passion, really. Do things that are very passionate for you. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to be making more changes that are more in aligned with who you are as a person, no matter what it is. Creativity is going to start coming, opening up again. I used to paint when I had thought I was moving to Vancouver Island during that time. I gave all my easels and paint supplies and brushes and everything was like $1,000. I just pretty much gave it away to somebody for nothing, like nothing, you know, because I was moving. And then I'm like, I'm actually getting drawn back into painting more. I'm not no artist, but it doesn't matter. We don't have to be perfect, of course. No, 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 no. I do photography on the side. I love it. I'm very passionate. I've met extraordinary, amazing person through my photography. Like, wow. Lots of invites all over the world. Come out here, we'll do photography. And like, wow. So you never know what when you follow your passion, what doors open. It can really take you towards your destiny. Doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, but Jenny, I just sew. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant what you're doing. If you enjoy it, if you're passionate, do it. So you're also going to be healing more inner child wounds during this time as well. But you're going to be more confident and you're going to be resolving some past situations that you are healing through. You remember how I talked about that emotional balance? So you're going to be like letting go more and coming to terms with things more and seeing things differently on a different perspective. Like I always say, the number one rule of the universe is don't ever judge anybody. I see it happening all the time. Ignorance, arrogance, ego. I can't be a part of it, but it happens. You don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know their journey in life. It's easy to put on a happy face, and somebody could be crying in the inside. I deal with suicides, I can tell you that. And believe me, the family that has to go through that and the friends and everything, it's a whole different situation. So, you know, the universe is going to redirect you. So when there's things that aren't working for you, I've been talking about this for a while, the universe redirects you as a protection. It's like, well, this didn't happen and that happened. Well, maybe you think there's a reason for that. Your guides and angels, I talk to, lots of different energies 24/7. 24/7, I get messages. So you don't know why they're redirecting you, but you have to trust that. You have to trust it. Even though you might not like it, but maybe the universe is saving you from getting in a very toxic, dangerous, abusive relationship or moving to a location or going to a horribly toxic job. So if you're applying for work, why didn't I get that? Don't worry about it. It's not for you at all, or it's not the right timing. So trust it. So as we're moving into the 30th of June, you guys, that full moon in Capricorn. So sleep is going to be a little off, and you might start seeing some of your achievements during this full moon that you've been working on, goals, whatever it is. You could be like, I'm actually starting to see what I was working on. I can start seeing results right now. Like when we're working on something, it doesn't take 5 minutes to be magic, right? When we're working on certain projects or whatever it is, or ourselves, it takes a little time before we start to see results. But you're going to see that you're especially going to take more accountability for your actions, the decisions you have made. Wow, okay. I can take accountability. There's certain people that won't take accountability for their actions or behavior. That's their problem. That's their issue. You're going to be taking more accountability for your actions during this time. So be open, and you are truly going to even see more what completed. I said that you're going to feel that completion. You're going to even see that more right now, what ended or what has ended. It's coming to terms with it and accepting it. It's like a death. It takes time, to work through that. Some people are like, I can't acknowledge that. Certain things, it takes time to come to terms, especially a relationship. Some of you have seen that a relationship has ended, and yet you're still trying to hang on to it. Go back and look at my other videos. There's a lot of karmic completions, a lot of endings with relationships. So you might find during the Capricorn full moon, you're going to be more focused on your career right now. making career, changes. What direction do I truly want to move towards? You're going to be like, I need more stable foundation. I need to build that even stronger. What direction do I want to move towards with my career, let's say? What changes do I need to make? I'm not happy at my job right now, so I'm going to go find something else. Set intentions during this full moon. Very, very powerful time to manifest. Very powerful time to manifest. You're going to be a lot more responsible right now. So, as I mentioned, the moon's going to be smaller. It's going to be like that micro moon, little tiny moon. So, you're going to start to become a new version of yourself even more. You know what I mean? Like, so this is when you could see more changes. Maybe some of you have made like whatever changes it is, like I mentioned. So look at that. Look at that. Be proud of yourself. You don't have to have other people say, wow, good job. Pat yourself on the back and say, wow, that was a really good job, you know? But everybody else is getting that. Don't worry about everybody else. Focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. So you're going to be letting go more so during the full moon because, what was completed, maybe it can be hard to let go of certain things. And this is the time you're going to have more heart to heart, open conversations with relationships. Relationships in general can be friends, family, your partner, and so on. You should always be honest and speak from your heart, anyways, with kindness. So your sleep could be off, of course, with the full moon. Full moons are emotional. So just take it easy. You know what I mean? Whenever it's like, you know what, I'm really upset about this, and that, like rar, just take time out for you. Really think about it. I wouldn't send a message to somebody when you're super upset or angry because, that's when we can easily say things that we regret. So you don't want to do that. We do it. We're all human, right? Like the wrath of God comes out. I've had enough, right? I mean, I don't put up with crap myself. I'll go for the throat with someone, and when I'm done, I'm done. You know. So, but yeah, you don't like to get to that stage, of course not, right? So July 1st and 2nd, July, like we haven't had a summer here. It's been a wintry season. I haven't even bought flowers yet. The whole month in June, every day rain, and it's been really cold. People have had their heat on, you know. Like, sorry, Valentino, we can't go out walking in the rain. But I did buy him another little outfit, of course. I just love it. It was so cute. Oh my God. He has so many outfits, like you could have a walk-in closet. I'm just saying. Oh, July 1st, happy Canada Day. I don't celebrate Canada Day. I never have. But for those of you who celebrated Happy Canada Day, you might find that you're going to be making more commitments to yourself during that time as well. You're going to be wrapping up, a lot of things on the 1st and the 2nd of July. From the 1st, like decluttering even more. I'm literally seeing some of you guys going through your closets. I don't wear that anymore, or I don't like that shirt or outfit anymore, or it doesn't fit me right. I'm literally seeing somebody completely and utterly clearing out shoes in their closet, like footwear, outfits, hats, like the whole entire closet. Like your closet is so full, really full, and I'm literally seeing you clearing that by at least 70%. There's an old trunk I'm literally hearing and seeing. Somebody go through an old trunk. If you have like a trunk or something in your closet, go through that because you'll be really surprised what you could find in that. There's something that you very well, a necklace or something I'm seeing. So go through that because you very well could find that. You can be like, oh my gosh, there it is. Like it literally can be inside a boot or a shoe or something that just fell in. So I was just channeling, I was just hearing that from spirit. I never know when messages are coming in, sorry, but I heard that really loud, so wanted to say that. Those of you who know me, I get messages coming out of the blue here and there. So July 3rd, we're July 4th is, like July 4th, of course, in the US. I'll talk about that next week. However, July 3rd, you could be traveling during that time. Oh, time to make the road trip, time to go to the airport. Don't rush anything. Construction can be on the roads during that time wherever you are. Flight delays more because of Mercury retrograde. Like make sure that, luggage goes missing. Like I learned that the hard way many years, like a long time ago. So make sure you in your purse or like your carry-on bag, you have certain things if they do lose your luggage. I had like, film equipment one year I traveled in my big suitcase because, it's a lot of equipment. They lost my luggage and I was hyperventilating. Big lesson learned, I can tell you that. I mean, I got it back and everything, but oh my God, I had to go back out and rebuy myself shorts and like a hat and sunglasses and like shorts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I already have that in my suitcase. God, I was upset. I have to go out and buy this stuff when I have everything. So I have certain like double hats, double sunglasses, like certain things. So I learned, like just put, like certain things in a carry-on. Make sure you do that. You might even find that you're a little tired on the 3rd of July. You might find that, what, I just need some space right now, time out to myself. You could be like, I just want to turn my phone off and finish up on certain things that I'm a little behind on right now. Have a more simple day, get things together. Maybe some of you are celebrating July the 4th and making food that day or preparing for the next day, right? So it could be a little busy for you too. However, for those of you who are exhausted, take rest, take rest. Whenever you need it, just take rest. These energies affect us. We have solar flares sudden coming on, solar storms coming on, ascension symptoms that come on. That can come on at any given time. Like it affects your entire body. So look at how far you have come. Really sit back and reflect how far you have come during this time frame, and be realistic. Look at the 1st of January of this year. Where are you now? What's happening? What have you completed? What's going on? Sometimes you don't realize it because we go on and on and on with our daily life and everything, right? So now let's just pull a couple of cards. I don't use cards because I'm a clairvoyant. Um, so getting another message in all of a sudden. Okay, just kind of went away, but it was very specific for someone. I might get it back. Okay, so let's ask the cards June 27th to the 3rd of July. What is the message collectively? So I don't use cards. I don't, but YouTube, of course, I'm pulling a couple of cards for you. Not all of you will connect with it, but some of you will. And if you do, it's the card for you, of course. Actually, I do see who that message is for. I'll reach out to that person. June 27th to the 3rd of July, magic prayer. There's power in prayers. I send prayers out every day myself to everybody. Well, certainly specifically for certain people who I know that are struggling or going through a lot of difficulties. I always do a world prayer every day during my meditations. I meditate a few times a day. And this one here, it's actually really unique. It's very creative. It just really shows this woman is actually completely and utterly embracing herself. Remember how I just said that you could be making more changes with yourself, and that could be anything. That could be anything, any type of changes we make, during this season, well, at any time, right? Look at how she's just trusting the process. She just moving forward. You know what I mean? Being very creative. just doing her thing. Be authentic, be yourself. When you're being yourself and authentic, new doors will open for you that will redirect you on your path. So you'll see it because it matches with your vibrational frequency. I'm just saying, be open to that. Pay attention. Look at the magic within her, and her hair is flowing, and she's got like a little leaf or some creative on her eyes. Look at that. I love that. So let's just have a chat now. Actually, I'm hearing this deck specifically, by the way. So the 27th to the 3rd of July. Wow. Automatically, this card fell out. The cards just fly out for me. What a beautiful card. Movement, river. So some of you could be making a move during this time. You could be like, movement is also traveling. Movement is moving the body around. Movement is maybe some of you are moving. Look how beautiful and calm the water is here. What a nice. When things are flowing, you're on the right pathway. Yes, there's going to be some bumpy roads, longest retrograde season where it can throw us off. Geez, am I on the right path? Things seem a little bumpy. The retrograde will make things a little bit bumpy, you know. But look how things are beautifully flowing. Water is your emotions. So if you're looking at a large lake or an ocean and such like that, look at where your emotions are. You could be letting go and healing by the water. You could be getting a lot more creative by the water. And I love being by the water myself, you know, so it opens up a lot of new doors for me in many different ways. So look at how beautiful that is. Everything is flowing really nicely. Wonder where that is. That's a really nice card. Whoever designed that card, very beautiful, very beautiful. But you see what I mean? Look how creative someone is to design that. We all have our own gifts and talents and abilities. Own it. Be yourself. We're all creative in our own way. We start trying to, like be like other people, it's not going to work, because is that really who you are? Be who you are. Seriously. So I'm not going to pull another card. I do have other decks out here, but I'm literally hearing from spirit. No. So now, for those of you again would like to book a reading, soulworkwithjennig.com. Make sure you're tuning into my podcast, soulworkwithjennig.com. If you do have a story, if you'd like something to share with me, if you'd like something to talk about of importance to you, reach out to me. You never know. I could very well interview and say, you know what, let's have that talk. Send me a message through my website. Some people say I've sent you a message, on Instagram or Facebook. I never got it because Facebook especially pulls back on messages. They can block messages from people. So that's why I'm saying, if you don't hear from me, like within a couple of days or so, make sure you reach out again, especially during the retrograde season. And I'll get you booked in. We'll figure something out. So have an amazing day now.